Well, good morning, and thank you all for joining us today. I think everybody knows me, but I am Sheriff Jim Quattrone. I'm thrilled to be able to announce the launch of this innovative program here in Chautauqua County at the Chautauqua County Jail that we truly believe will be a significant and positive impact on both our inmates as well as our community. Now, some of you might ask, what is IGNITE? And it's taken me a little bit to keep on remembering the acronym, but it stands for Inmate Growth Naturally and Intentionally Through Education. And it's really nice. I see representatives from JCC, from Chautauqua County BOCE, or the E2, we'll just say BOCES, Board of Cooperative Education, as well as we have a representative from Penn West here, and then a representative from Goodwill. So appreciate you all being here. This is a national initiative through the National Sheriff's Association, which I'm honored to be able to serve as the vice chair of the Jail, Detention, and Corrections Committee, with the chair being Sheriff Gabe Morgan, who has taught me a lot about the jails and what goes on, because when I started as sheriff, I knew very little about the jail. I'm thankful to have several of our staff, supervisors from the jail, the warden, a couple of our lieutenants and training sergeant, as well as one of our officers here. But IGNITE is a comprehensive rehabilitation program designed to provide inmates with education, vocational training, and life skills that will help them reintegrate back into society upon release. The program really embodies our commitment, as well as the commitment of the National Sheriff's Association, to not only enforcing the law, but also to give individuals the tools that they need to transform their lives and contribute positively to our community. We're honored to be the first in New York State to launch this initiative, and one of the first in the nation to do that. I believe there's 10 IGNITE programs now. Before we go any further, I'd like to thank several people that are here. Sheriff Gary McFadden from Mecklenburg County, North Carolina. Sheriff Chris Hilton, someplace, there he is, from Sandusky County, Ohio, for coming to pass the IGNITE torch. Major Jason Gould from Genesee County, Michigan, who is very involved in their IGNITE program there, where this initiative has started. Dorian Johnson from Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office. Major Jody Hatfield from Sandusky County, Ohio. And Claire McNally from the National Sheriff's Association. We thank all of you for coming, making this special trip here. Some of you driving this morning, some of you flying straight from out west of the country all the way in. I think all of you have traveled a long distance. Also would like to thank Chairman Alan Riley from the New York State Commission of Corrections, who almost drove, no, he probably did drive farther than the sheriffs from Sandusky. So, but what are the goals and objectives of IGNITE? The primary goal of IGNITE is to reduce recidivism rates by equipping our inmates with the skills and knowledge needed to break the cycle of incarceration. We aim to empower our participants to become self-sufficient, responsible, and law-abiding citizens upon reentry into society. And by focusing on education and skill building, we believe that the participants will have a greater chance of securing employment and leading productive lives. So our components, we're going to look at education. Our inmates will have access to a range of educational opportunities, including basic literacy, numeracy courses, GED preparation, and vocational training. This will enable them to acquire valuable skills for future employment. Life skills workshops. The program will offer workshops on essential life skills such as communication, financial management, anger management, conflict resolutions. And these skills are crucial for successful reintegration into society. And then a supportive community. The program will foster a sense of community that among participants, promoting peer support and positive environment that encourages personal growth and mutual respect. I mentioned some of our partners, our hopeful partners, but I also look in this audience today, and we have members here that work in the jail day in and day out from our mental health department, help with our reentry, our medical department, really to make sure our inmates are healthy both physically and mentally is important when they're released so they can reintegrate into society, and I appreciate you guys being here today. And without all of the support, I look around, I see many of our political leaders, Congressman Nick Langworthy's got a representative here, Senator Borrello from New York State has a representative, Assemblyman Andy Goodell is here, presenting our county executive, PJ Wendell, are all here present to support us. And I can't leave out our public defender. Ned Barone has also joined us here. And again, all these individuals are important to make sure we have a successful program. This is a collaborative effort. The success of Ignite program wouldn't be possible without this collaboration of the many stakeholders, community organizations, educational institutions, and local businesses. We're truly grateful for the support and commitment, making this a real difference in the lives of those who have made mistakes but are determined to improve. And many of those that I talk to our inmates often and tell them that I don't look at them as criminals all the time. They're people who've made mistakes. And I've had a few of them that'll say, and I've made many of them, but who hasn't made a mistake? But with any good program, we need to measure successes. And we're going to keep track of the program's success by evaluating key metrics such as reduced recidivism rates, increased educational attainment, successful job placements, and improved post-release outcomes. Long-term successes will be measured by participants' ability to reintegrate successfully into society as responsible, law-abiding citizens. So we invite our community members to engage with this program, whether by volunteer their expertise, offering employment opportunities to the program graduates, or supporting participants on their journey through rehabilitation. The launch of the Ignite program represents a significant step forward in our ongoing efforts to promote rehabilitation and to reduce recidivism. We believe that every individual has the capacity for change, and through Ignite, we are investing into a brighter future for both inmates and our community. So thank you for your attention, and we look forward to witnessing this positive impact of Ignite in the Chautauqua County Jail. And as I mentioned, we're honored to have so many special guests here today. We're going to ask a few of them to say a few words about the program, maybe to explain the program a little better. And at the end, we will have a chance for a question and answer. So our first speaker will be Chairman Alan Riley from the New York State Commission of Corrections. Alan previously served as the sheriff in Madison County, New York, and discovered how far it is to drive from there to Chautauqua County. So, but let's welcome Alan up.
Thank you, everybody. Good morning. We are gathered here today to launch a program that has great outcomes across the country. A program that has changed the path of many incarcerated individuals that they believe they could not be productive members of society. Many of these incarcerated individuals have not been given a second chance to become productive members of the society will now have the opportunity through the Ignite program. The Ignite program will not only bring opportunities to Chautauqua County incarcerated individuals, but their families. It'll also have a chance for community members and community programs to be involved. Today, here in Chautauqua County, Sheriff James Quattrone, the correctional staff, and members of the county legislature are offering the opportunity. Rehabilitation and reentry programs have had many positive effects for counties across the United States. These programs connect the incarcerated individual population to a vast majority of county services and community volunteer services, helping in reducing the cost of incarceration, reducing recidivism rates, resulting in lower incarcerated population. Rehabilitation and reducing recidivism rates in counties' correctional facilities should be a top priority across the U.S. We often hear about the lack of skilled trade workers, I will tell you, based on my experience as a previous sheriff, there's a good number of incarcerated individuals that have talent to become skilled trade workers among other professions. A little story from my days as sheriff. The county had purchased a building for the sheriff's office to house a road patrol unit. It needed remodeling to fit our needs. While touring the jail and speaking to the incarcerated population, I found that some had worked in the construction field. I found, unbeknownst to me, there were many that had worked in plumbers and electricians and drywall professionals. As the remodeling project got underway, many of the incarcerated population offered to help. Their feeling was that they would rather be doing something than just sitting around. At the end of the remodeling project, 3 of the individuals were hired by professional contractors upon their release. They were given a second chance. The staff that had worked with these incarcerated individuals were also proud to see these 3 individuals move forward. A big plus for the facility was that the staff members in charge of the program had gained a great, trustworthy working relationship with the incarcerated population. The working relationship that was developed by the staff then opened eyes to the fact that more could be done for the population. Attendance in education programs among adults increased. The philosophy was education opens the mind to belief that you can learn and take great interest in accomplishing what you believed was not possible. Incarcerated members that earned their GED or TAS diploma were very proud, bringing new hope for themselves and their families. Along with the rehabilitation program came the reentry program, guiding them to services that were available in the public sector to assist them in locating jobs, peer counseling, and further educational opportunities. This is what IGNITE program is all about. The IGNITE program is needed in our county correctional facilities to move the incarcerated population forward and reduce recidivism rates within the county. In closing, I have always said the one thing that the incarcerated population has is time. We, as keeper of the correctional facility, need to create ways that this time is used in the most effective and efficient way. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to introduce Claire McNally from the National Sheriff's Association. We're indebted to Claire and all the work that she has done for this program. Being introduced to sheriffs from around this country, sometimes we can be a little overbearing, sheriffs, but Claire keeps us in line and keeps this program moving forward and truly believes in the work that is being happening around the U.S. and continue to hope that it grows. Claire?
Good morning, everyone. I'm Claire McNally, and I'm here from the National Sheriff's Association. First, I'd like to thank Sheriff Quattrone and the Chautauqua County team for graciously welcoming myself and the IGNITE ambassadors here to be here for the launch of the very first IGNITE site in the state of New York. I'm honored to be joined by the IGNITE team as well. As Sheriff Quattrone said, I'm here with Sheriff McFadden and Dorian Johnson from Mecklenburg County, North Carolina. Sheriff Hilton and Major Hatfield from Sandusky County, Ohio, and Major Gould from Genesee County, Michigan. We are so excited to stand here with Sheriff Quattrone and welcome him into our IGNITE community as he commits to changing the culture in jail and making the community safer. When we first started the conversation with Sheriff Quattrone about IGNITE, his dedication to this county was clear. He is widely regarded as compassionate and dedicated, earning respect for his unwavering commitment to justice and the well-being of this community. IGNITE requires this kind of leadership. To give you some background on IGNITE, it first began in Genesee County, Michigan, under the leadership of Sheriff Chris Swanson, who had the goal of shifting the culture in his jail from incarceration to education. When NSA Executive Director Jonathan Thompson first heard of this initiative, he knew he had to see it for himself. Him and his staff flew down to Michigan, and within a few minutes of visiting the Genesee County Jail, he knew that this needed to become a national initiative. Too often, our jails fail to provide inmates with the tools necessary to re-enter society and avoid repeating their behavior. IGNITE does not just educate. IGNITE identifies skills needed, connects individuals with potential employers, and most importantly, instills the motivation and self-worth to better themselves, which in turn makes a better society for us all. Since that day in Flint, Ignite has grown into 9 states, including Minnesota, North Carolina, North Dakota, Virginia, Ohio, Texas, South Dakota, and Idaho. And now we are proud to announce that New York is the 10th state to be a change maker in the world of justice and incarceration. We couldn't do any of this without the support of Verizon Frontline, Airmark, and Stand Together Trust. The NSA is looking forward to watching the success of Ignite in Chautauqua County and having their leadership pioneer the way for our mission to ignite 3,000 more of the nation's jails. Thank you to Sheriff Quattrone and the Chautauqua County Sheriff staff for your dedication to this initiative. We cannot wait to see all the great things that will happen in Chautauqua County. Thank you.
And now it's my honor and privilege to invite Sheriff Gary McFadden from Mecklenburg County, North Carolina. I've had the privilege of hearing Sheriff McFadden speak at some of the conferences. He's got some energy, and he's got a true belief that we can change the culture in our jails, making our communities a safer place. I'd like to say this is an opportunity to be smarter on crime rather than tougher on crime. But Sheriff McFadden, thank you.
Well, good morning. I'm glad to be in New York. I'm a Yankee fan. Let's make that clear. So here I am in New York, and you're going to say, why does a sheriff come to New York to follow another sheriff? Well, it's because of the National Sheriff Association. They see talent, and they see things in people that others don't see. So when the National Sheriff Association approached me a year ago and said, you act like the sheriff in Genesee County, Sheriff Swanson. So I denied that up front. He doesn't dress like me. He doesn't look like me. And so then I got this phone call from this wonderful sheriff who challenged me about a program inside the jail. I said, well, Sheriff, you have the wrong person now, because I'm changing the culture inside correctional institutions, because we don't say jail. We say detention centers, and we don't say inmate, we say residents, because we believe that in the beginning, if you can change the label, you can probably change the product at some point. So I challenged him on my back porch, and then after I finished talking with him, I briskly hung up the phone and thanked him for his call. And he did something that was unusual. He called me back in a couple of days and says, you did not follow up with me. And I'm like, okay, he is different. And he challenged me on what we were doing, and then we compared notes of how much we are doing. I said, you doing all of this? Well, I'm doing all this too. I have a culinary school. I have a barber school. I have all the things that you would dream about having inside your detention center, and we think that we are on fire. And so he says, well, would you take the challenge of this new program that the National Sheriff Association has developed? And I said, oh, sure. And he came down and we talked, and we launched my Ignite program, but we changed it a little for various reasons. And I'm going to do something that if you all saw me in North Carolina, I'm going to hand the mic to someone else, which that is a very rare issue. Because I do like to express my opinions about corrections, because standing before you, I have 42 years of experience in law enforcement. I know I don't look like it, but I'm into my 42nd year of law enforcement at July 7th. But let me tell you why this is so important to me. The other day, I had launched we continued our program, our behavioral health program inside our institute. And I had one young man to stand up, and he told the story of his first arrest. And he said his first arrest came at 16 years old, and he was traumatized from it. And believe it or not, that same person is still being arrested after 41 years. How I know? Because he was the first person I arrested, and I was his first arrest. But he's now into my Ignite program. And we love to see him, but he got very emotional because he said only now he's getting the help that he needs. And so we talk about this, and why would you follow another sheriff around the country and trying to launch these programs? And do you believe in us, or will you take the chance? And here's what I tell people. We're not trying to sell this to you. We're just asking you to try it for 90 days. And if you don't like it, give it back to us, and then you tell us what programs that you're going to create to make your community better. And here's what people always ask me, and I said this at that first program. Somebody says, well, the media said, well, Sheriff, why are you doing this? I said, well, if you can answer this question, I will answer yours. If not this, then you tell me, how would you like for me to prepare your neighbor? Because these young men and women will leave one day and they become your neighbor, and then you want to call the local law enforcement to see what the crime stats in that neighborhood before you move in, before your daughter moves in, before your son moves in, or before you buy that house. Ignite is just making it easy for us to prepare your neighbors with programs. Now, I'm going to do this personal privilege, please, because I brought my program director here, and people don't like us at our agency because we create things overnight, and then we don't tell anybody, and then we launch it, and they're going to say, why? And we always say, because this is what Dorian wants. And I try to give Dorian everything that he has, and even when we saw each other today, they said, where's Dorian? I jumped in a car, and we chatted about some things that they said, y'all have to slow down, y'all don't know what you're doing, and that's all right, because I believe in this program manager. He knows that I believe into him, because he's going to tell you, I'll let him tell you, we're going to launch some things in a couple of days that I'm so excited about it, that it is going to turn people's heads in Charlotte, but that's what we do every day. But I can tell you that we are returning our citizens better than then we received them because of Ignite. And I'm thankful for the National Sheriff Association with Verizon and Airmark and all the other sponsors to help us do this. But you have to wonder this, if nothing else, sheriffs are following other sheriffs around the country, creating a program that you never heard about. So this is something you probably need to watch, because I will tell you, after 42 years, I finally love something so much that I will get on a plane in the middle of the night and travel to a city I have no idea where I'm at, to help launch a program. But I'm excited, and I'm going to thank the sheriff for his hospitality and his staff. But if you don't believe in it, give them 90 days, and then you can judge them. But I guarantee you it'll be a good judgment. If I can have this privilege to have my program director, Dorian Johnson, to come up, because he loves these programs as much as I do. Thank you.
Wow, this is unexpected, and everyone knows not to follow Sheriff McFadden after speaking, but I appreciate this opportunity. Ignite is definitely something that is important for everyone. As it was said previously, these individuals will be released at some point. And the question for us as a community is, how do we want them to get out? Over 95% will be released at some point. If you let them out the same way they came in, at best, they'll repeat the same behavior. So this is something that we must do. This is a national movement, and this is definitely about public safety, but this is also about the culture inside our detention centers as well. Officer safety. At Mecklenburg County, we've had programs for 20 years. 0 officer assaults in our program pods for 20 years. In 20 years, residents fighting. We've had less than 10 fights among our residents in these program pods. Our program officers, those officers are the longest tenured officers when compared with their peers. It creates a safe environment, and the uniformed staff realizes this. I get emails regularly of officers trying to get involved with our program pods. This is something that we must do. This is something that benefits all of us, And something I always share with everyone is the difference between us and them is one bad decision. We could leave here today, get in our car, drive, look at our phone, hit someone, and guess what we are? An inmate if that person dies. We're one bad decision away, and for some of us, you just didn't get caught. So this is about community, this is about public safety, and this is about humanity. I am just enthused that the National Sheriff's Association has taken on this project. It is something that in my 26 years, I have been trying to fight against the system of not giving individuals a second chance, and for some a third chance, and for some a fourth chance. Is there a limit on the number of chances we should give an individual who may not be ready at one moment, but ready at another? Again, they will be released, and it is in all of our best interests that we give them this opportunity to educate themselves, to get additional vocational skills, learn conflict resolution skills, mental health treatment, substance use treatment. These are all the reasons that a person becomes incarcerated in the first place. And if you leave that person untreated, uneducated, with zero skills, what can we actually expect from them when they get released? So I'm just excited. Thank you. I'm from Buffalo, New York, so for this to actually be happening right around the corner from my home city, very excited, and hopefully Buffalo, New York Sheriff will join soon after this. Thank you.
Thank you, Dorian. We'll put Sheriff Garcia on notice that he has to start this in Erie County soon. So I was thinking about how I wanted to wrap this up. I met Dorian kind of in a office hours call. I asked Claire, how often do we do those monthly calls? And she says, monthly. I was like, so office hours is a monthly Zoom call that the sheriffs and program staff that are involved in Ignite are able to get together, discuss what's working, what's not working, ways we can improve. And one of the things that was very apparent, we all have individuals that are incarcerated. We all have individuals that are going to be released. And we all have correctional staff. And we really have to focus on each of those, but especially our correctional staff, that I'm very honored to have you guys here today. It's something we've talked, and Sheriff McFadden, I'm a little bit maybe harder. I asked him to give us a year. So to look at this program, let's give it a year to see how it works, how we can modify it, we gather input. But I am proud of the Chautauqua County Jail or Detention Center, whatever we want to call it, and the work that they do there. We've had many of the programs in place for years. Now we want to organize and have a way to track successes and to be sending those individuals out more productive. As I said, we can lead them to the water. Whether they accept and whether they participate is going to be up to them. So I'd like to take some time and invite our guests up and answer some questions if anybody has questions. And I'll probably be deferring because we're going to be learning as we go. And this is a nice thing about Ignite. It's not a checklist, but it's a process that we can work through to continue to improve. I'm kind of looking around. So there she is in the back. I have Colonel Jones, who is our reentry, I'll say coordinator. She wears many hats. And it's something I think my staff, and my undersheriff, Rich Telford, is here. Sometimes I come up with ideas, or I think about ideas as I'm driving down the road, and I'll send them and say, hey, I think we should be doing this, or the warden hears this, and they want to pump the brakes and slow down. But I can honestly say when we mentioned doing Ignite, the warden, Colney, were on board from the start. They might have wanted us to slow down a little bit, but I thought, it's a great program. Let's get it moving. As long as we can start slow and build upon successes, overall we'll have a successful program. And I don't even like to call it a program, I like to call it an initiative that has programs involved in it. That we, as many have mentioned, we need to realize the dignity that everybody has because they're human beings, and then show them that the respect, which I often like to say unconditional respect, because many people maybe haven't had that respect in their lives. And if we can show respect and demonstrate respect, it might be the first time they've seen that modeled, and offer an opportunity to be successful when they're released. So with that, I'd like to invite our guests up, even those who didn't speak, because you guys, Sandusky has been doing the Ignite program for a little while. I'm not sure exactly how long, but and then I'll field some questions. Thanks for leading the way, Sheriff McFadden.
I'm sure the public defender's office got some questions for you.
Terry.
Jim, bail reform has changed a lot in New York State in terms of jails and how they operate. How does this work with that, and how many inmates would be eligible at the jail for this?
I will say every inmate will be eligible if they're willing to participate. It would be nice, this is kind of sounds strange, it'd be nice if we knew how long they were going to be in our jail, but we never really know. But as we can start programs and connect them with our community resources, hopefully once they start within the jail, if they get released before completing, then we can connect them with a community resource to continue on. Go ahead.
Is there any added cost to what you're already doing? Something you're doing a lot of these programs already, but is there any added cost to participate in the Ignite program?
There is really no added cost. We're going to be utilizing materials, instructors that we have there. We're hoping to have our community partners participate. I'm not sure if any of the other sheriffs, I'm not sure how, every program is a little different, and this is really based on a meritocracy. So we want to be able to incentivize those that are incarcerated to participate. So some of that might be to recognize them at graduations as they're completing programs.
I would just tell you that that's the nice thing about the Ignite program is it can be catered to your facility. I operate a facility that has an average daily population of less than 100 inmates. So it's not the size of his, it's certainly not the size of his, but it's the same program. Monetarily, you'll be shocked and amazed, and I'm sure the sheriff is going to figure that out, and I'm sure Sheriff McFadden can echo what I'm saying. Your community is going to want to support you monetarily because you're doing something. The key words in what he just said are meritocracy. Meritocracy, meritocracy. We're trying to change the mindset. I just gave a keynote speech about this in Wisconsin a few weeks ago. And I tried to explain to them that we're trying to change generational incarceration by changing mindsets. I will tell you there is not a jail, detention facility, corrections facility, whatever you want to call it in this country that is not offering the things that Ignite offers. Every single one of them are. The thing that makes this one so different is we're rewarding and incentivizing and getting them to want to participate. Now, again, New York's laws about lockdown and things like that are different than in Ohio. You know the first thing I do to incentivize inmates to participate in Ignite? Hey, we're going to do this financial literacy class. And everybody that wants to participate can participate. It's completely voluntary. You come out, you sit down, and those that don't want to participate for the 45 minutes this educator's there is going to be locked down. So if I'm an inmate, I can go out there and learn about something, or I can be locked down in my cell for 45 minutes or an hour. That's the first step. You got to make it their choice to sit down. And then once they start to participate and they get something out of it, and I'm going to say, I hate to sound like, to sound like I'm a parent, once they behave and do what they're supposed to do in that setting, you reward them. It can be something as simple as a nice job. It could be a piece of candy. It could be 45 minutes outdoor rec extra. Whatever you decide you want it to be. And once they understand that if I do this, I get this. I do this, I get this. And then you take it away and you make them do it more before you give them something. And again, it sounds really simple, but you're changing a mindset to understand that if I do something, there is positive results. And that is what makes this different. I will tell you, it's working like a champ in my facility. Anybody ever been to Flint, Michigan in here? Okay, been to Flint, Michigan. Not exactly a destination for vacations, okay? Sorry, Major. My point is this. That's a rough town. They have a facility, what, 550 beds, Major? 600. 600 bed facility. That's a rough town. And I sent that guy, my chief deputy, and my assistant jail administrator to Genesee County on a vacation for 2 days to learn about Ignite. Within 20 minutes, he's calling me, man, you should see what they're doing here. About a half hour later, my chief deputy's like, oh my God, this is amazing. You should see what they're doing here. And I'm like, well, what are they doing that we're not doing? And then they started talking about all the things I just talked about. It's that meritocracy, man. It's rewarding. Everybody wants to have value. And that's what you're giving people. You're giving them value. And then once they have a little self-worth, all them classes and all those things you want to give them become much easier. You've changed their mindset. You're breaking in generational incarceration. I see all you got your corrections deputies in here, Sheriff. I guarantee every one of them, there's Father Sunday about every other day inside the facility, right? You got Grandpa over here, you got Uncle Joe over here, and you got the kid that just now started doing it because he's 19 years old. That's the kind of stuff we're trying to break. I don't want the 19-year-old to see that his dad's doing it, that his uncle's doing it, his grandpa's doing it. I'm trying to change that mindset that you don't have to be that way. I'm going to share one quick story, and I apologize for monopolizing the time, but I was out in Idaho 2 weeks ago launching in Bonneville County, Idaho Falls. They have an amazing setup. There was a judge. I got up and did this same spiel for about 20 minutes, which the major will tell you I can do for an hour and a half. And I was talking about all these things and trying to change mindset and the things we're trying to teach and financial literacy and life skills and all this stuff. And this judge gets up after me, circuit court judge, been a judge for 32 years. And he looks at me and goes, Sheriff, he goes, I never thought about inmates the way you just described them. And he goes on to tell this story that 20 minutes before he came to that show, he was releasing a guy that had been in jail for 23 years. And he'd been incarcerated, in prison. He'd been incarcerated either in a jail or a prison for 27 of the last 31 years of his life. And so the judge is telling him, hey, you're good. Nothing. Are you excited? And this guy looked at him and said, I'm scared to death. And the judge was like, well, what do you mean? He had no idea how to survive out there. And understanding, Dorian made it great about, if we don't do something to change, he's going to do exactly what he's been doing to get back into that position in the first place. And he has no idea. Doesn't know how to be a parent. Doesn't know how to write a check for those of us that are of a certain age. Doesn't know how to check his credit score. Maybe he doesn't even know how to write his name. These are all things that everyone in this room takes for granted. And they're not asking those questions, and we need to incentivize them. We need to reward them to say, hey, man, this is what we're going to offer, and every time you do it right, we're going to let you know. And it's a powerful thing. Major Gould can tell you it's an amazing, powerful thing to watch people actually gain self-worth and self-confidence. And then they want to do it. You're not just offering it to them. Lead a horse, drink water. We're leading them to the water, and they're like, I want more water. And it's amazing. Now, I'll follow that up with one last thing. How do we measure success? It's up to you. It's up to the facility. It's up to the sheriff. It's up to the people. There are bad people in the world. Everybody can shake their head, yes, because they do exist. There is evil. He's looked at it. I've looked at it. Every cop that's been a cop for 10 minutes has looked evil in the eye. You're not going to change those people. I love sports. I love baseball. Yankee fan. I'm a Gardenians fan. Baseball, I'm a huge baseball fan. And you take a guy that hits a baseball 3 out of 10 times and does it for 10 or 15 years in the major leagues, what do we call him? Probably a Hall of Famer. One of the best to ever do it. When you think about it for a second, he has failed 70% of the time. But what do we focus on? We focus on the 30% of the time that he did it right. So however the sheriff and you all tried to choose and measure success, it's up to you. But boy, if we reach 1, think of the spider effect. If we reach 2, think of the spider effect. And that's the things that Sheriff Swanson, if you ever get a chance to see that man speak, watch him. You'll be tired when you're done. He is a bundle of energy, but he's got a passion and a purpose. And that's the purpose. And the thing, when we can do it, it's that pebble, and you watch the ripple effect. And that's what we're trying to do here. Sorry, I didn't mean to monopolize.
Thank you. Any other? Aaron.
Hi, I'm wearing a couple hats here today. I work for Jamestown Community College. I'm a dean there, and I brought with me Reed Halford. He's our new prison education coordinator. So we're very, thank you, Sheriff, for inviting us.
Thank you for joining us.
The other hat that I wear is for the Chautauqua County Magistrates Association with the courts. So, and I oversee educational programming for the judges and clerks. So my question, I see Ned Barone here is a public defender. How are you collaborating or partnering with your courts, your town, village, city, county courts, the judges, staff, in regards to allowing this to be maybe conditions of sentencing or while they're, residents of your facilities? Or how would you engage them?
Yeah, so in Mecklenburg County, the first thing we wanted to do is make them aware. So one of the things we've done is presentations for our public defender's office as well as our judges as well. The other thing we do is for our residents in terms of meritocracy. When a resident does programming, when they go to court, we send them with a court letter. We let that court know this resident has been involved in programming for this amount of time. They've completed these courses, etc. Those residents will work for that court letter, if nothing else, just to try to influence the court. But for all of us, we've read the books of if you do something for 3 weeks, it becomes a habit. We want to get them engaged during the pretrial process, get in contact with their public defender, let that public defender know what this resident is doing. That public defender will request education transcripts, court letters, anything that we can give regarding what that resident's activities have been while they've been in custody. So for us, we try to make sure that court is well aware of everything that we're doing inside of here so that that person can get an actual real second chance. And real second chance meaning something we haven't talked about is housing. Housing is something, how can you expect someone to maintain employment, be a parent, etc., if every criteria for housing excludes persons with a criminal record? So we're trying to get our community, our courts, our corporations, everyone to understand that we all benefit from this, but the number one thing we have to do is make them aware of what actually is happening inside there.
I would add one thing. Everything, we're kind of doing everything he just said. The one thing I would add is I don't want my judges to mandate it. Because if you force someone to do it, you're taking the voluntariness away from it, and they're just not going to get as much out of it. It's like telling your kids to do something. They're going to not do it just because you told them to. We want the judges to know that we're doing it. Same thing. Educate them. Let them know. Here, you want to give them good time. Here, you want to do whatever. We'll show them all of that stuff. We beg them to not try to, and we do not allow them to mandate participation in Ignite or any of the programs that go along with it.
And I can add to that. That's a great example of how different county jails, different sheriff's offices can do things just a little bit different. And that's kind of the beauty behind the culture change known as Ignite, We can tailor it to what's best in whatever county you're going to. It doesn't matter if you're an 88-bed facility or a 3,000-bed facility like we did in Dallas. It really is, when you start seeing the results of it, what true culture change looks like. Because of the residual benefits that we didn't see that were coming that impacted everything in our community in Flint, Michigan, for sure, and in other counties now too.
Mr. Gale.
First, it's really exciting to see sheriffs from all around the nation coming here excited about this program. There's no better testament to its success than your presence here. And thanks to Sheriff Patron for taking the leadership here. My question was to Chairman Riley. Lakeview, facility in our county here, does a lot of focus on job training, other activities to help incarcerated individuals make a successful transition. What's your experience there, and are you interested in trying to expand the Ignite concept to other facilities as well?
The Commission on Corrections just deals with county jails. We only deal with the prison population due to deaths and complaints. They have their own investigation team for everything else, so they're like a separate agency from us. So as far as programming and stuff like that, that's all up to the Department of Corrections to handle that.
So we have a department and we have a
Commission, yes. We oversee the county jails to make sure the regulations are adhered to make sure that the jails, incarcerated individuals are treated with humane respect, and we do inspections and evaluations of all the jails and medical services within the jail.
I certainly hope you talk to your colleague in the Department of Corrections and share your experience here.
Yes.
Here's a beautiful thing. Is that all right, and I can tell them about? No. Here's a beautiful thing about us. This young man followed me before I became a sheriff, and I saw something in his eyes that I didn't see in many people's eyes. And so when we team together now, it's a scary thing, which we have a meeting every 2 weeks, and we create stuff. To answer your question, I want to share what we did in Mecklenburg County. We are a 1.2 million city. I have a 3,000-bed facility. I have a 9-story courthouse. And so what we did is say, we're going to have to do more than the average person. So we look for opportunities like what you were saying. My first 6 months there, we created a job fair inside of the institution. That's unheard of. But we forced employees to come in and hire residents while they were there. But we threw some salt on the game. Inside of my detention center, I have the thing called a haberdashery. I have suits. I have a whole room full of suits. How do I get them? I'll tell you all that secret later if you want to do it. So we dressed the men and women up, and so when the employees came in, they asked me one day, where are the inmates? I said, well, we don't have inmates, we have residents. And she said, where are they? I said, pick them out. And she couldn't. And I said, this is the problem that we have, because we label them and we create a society that rejects them, but they dress just like me. And we have that there. So we went one step further, which I'm proud of, that I'll give to New York. So we have a program called the Next Great 50. A formerly incarcerated young man who robbed banks decided to come out and do something different. He created this Next Great 50 inside our detention center that we were kind of, okay, that's a little different. And he cornered me on the street one day and said, Sheriff, you're not returning my calls. So I said, what do you got? So imagine that he takes, I think the last class was 12, 20, we've got 25. 20?
25 total.
We have 25 residents inside our facility that has a business. How do we create that? He comes in and teach them how to run a business. When you said it's not a brick and mortar business, which a lot of us have LLCs and companies and it's not brick and mortar. We just said we are entrepreneurs. And so then we have this individual to come in and talk to men and women about starting a business. So if 4 guys want to start a painting service and call Joe's Painting Company, that's 4 individuals start a painting service. It's not brick and mortar, but they paint houses. And so we teach them how to start that 4-man business And after that 4-man business, we create a website for them while they are incarcerated. After that, we do another step that everybody knows about GoDaddy and all these free websites. We create a free website for their business. So imagine changing their mindset, or that I have a business. It's an LLC. It's a website. But then we went one step further. We have a graduation where all these individuals come out and they graduate. Their families are there, but they can hold up their T-shirts with whatever business that they have created inside. Then we ask the local companies like Lowe's and Home Depot and everybody else to chip in, and you'll be surprised what a $1,500 gift certificate can do for a young man who just want to buy paint brushes and paint buckets and paint a house. That person sees a future. That person will not go back. But that is what Ignite is about. We have to change the culture. And of course we know we have to change the culture of law enforcement and some of the mindsets of our law enforcement officers inside, because they are the same as the individuals. Why? Every law enforcement officer does this when we stand up. Every picture is this. Now, you see, when Dorian had to stop, because Dorian changed it, because I got to do what the police do. But when he stood there, he was like this. Then he looked down and he said, okay, I have to do this. That is the culture that we are trying to change. And so imagine you can walk out to a restaurant and a manager says, I don't know who you are, but I have 2 young men in the back are going to pay for you and your wife's lunch. And I walked up and looked back and he says, who are you? I said, I'm the sheriff. Who are these guys? I said, they are graduates of my programs. Not my inmates, not somebody I arrest. They're graduates of my programs. What do you think he says? Can you send me more? Because I need cooks. I need line people. And you know what? That's a good feeling when you have. And that's all we're trying to do is change the culture of law enforcement and make your community safer. But that's what we do also. We give them those opportunities to be hired, and we give them opportunity of sense of worth and humanity, and then we just bring it back. We're sorry, we're just excited about this, if y'all can tell.
Ned, did you have a question?
Thanks, Jim, I appreciate it. Thank you all for what you're doing and what you've initiated here in this county. I think it's a wonderful idea. Sheriff Quattrone and myself, we deal, actually the last couple of years, we've worked very well together. The sheriff has opened his facility to working with us and my department in helping our clients and the inmates or the residents. However, I do have a question for Sheriff Mecklenburg and the others, is how involved are your public defender offices in your community? How involved are you working with them with concerning Ignite? Actually working hand in hand, talking about things, getting them involved with what you're doing and helping out in the long run.
Great relationship. And that's what we have to understand. We have to move our egos away. And I have a great laugh because me and our public defender fights every day because we kind of park in the same parking lot. And then he wants me to do a lot. And we have a great, I was a homicide detective for 20 years. And for lawyers, I've never heard the word not guilty in court. So I have no idea what that word is. But we built a great relationship because when he was a public defender and I was a homicide detective now, he's over the public defender's office. Believe it or not, everybody wants the same thing. We want to return citizens better. We want them not to go out and commit crime. So we have a great relationship. His name is Kevin Tully. If you call him now in Mecklenburg County, he'll have what Gary said. We have, Gary, can you put this guy in the program? Hey, Gary, mental health is the biggest issue that we're dealing with, both in law enforcement and in the community. We have come through COVID, and nobody knows the end results of COVID until now we're seeing the effects of COVID, of mental health. Forgive me, I had two retired police officers in the last 6 months took their lives. And it's because that there's not anything that helps us in law enforcement as people think it does to deal with these things. So when you can have a public defender's office supporting you, the judge is supporting you, and now the public is supporting you, you have to show them that this works. We created, y'all can tell that we're not on our medications a lot of times. And so we created a thing where we had 20 to 25 people to come in to have a conversation with our residents, one-on-one. Then we had a meeting. So we're going to create something in a couple of months called Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? And we're going to bring people, they think they're coming to dinner with the sheriff, which they are, but the table that they're going to sit at is going to be with our residents, talking about what they're not seeing in the community. We do things that of unheard of, PTA meetings, right? Still old school. PTA meetings. We have Zoom calls with parents and their schools about their kids. That just changed. You care about us? Yes, we care about us. We had an election a couple of months ago that one of our state officials lost an election by 425 votes. You know what I said to her? If you had came to me, I think we could help you win. And she said, why? I said, I have 455 residents inside my detention center registered to vote. We allow our men and women to register to vote. Bringing back humanity, setting the fire is what we're trying to do. You can't change the culture unless you want to change. But you have to take that step, and you will hear the naysayer. Well, I wouldn't do this, and he will hear that. Why he's doing this, but then tell us what we need to do. You can't find anything else for us to do. You can't put it together. But what Ignite did is like build a team. You have a bunch of nice players all over the country playing basketball, but you really need a coach to coach you, to bring you all in to work together. You will never see any other organization that sees sheriffs come together, jump out of a plane, come just to support another sheriff, if it's not a convention. And so this is why it's so important to us, because we all face the same problems across the United States in law enforcement and in our communities. There's no difference in the size of the jail. The criminal's the same size. The crime is the same. And so we're just trying to create better citizens for us to have safer and better communities.
I'll take one. Julia, you had your hand up. And then, of course, now my county executive put his hand up.
Sure.
So, but I might have to take two.
That's county got money.
I don't know if there's anybody here who can speak to the metrics of, like, what have you seen in the counties that have been doing this, your recidivism rates specifically? I was looking for that.
I'll quickly do that, and then I'm going to defer to Major Gould. So I will tell you that we have, I would say, what I would call anecdotal evidence that it's working. I describe Ignite, if it's done appropriately in the way it's designed to be run, as at its very worst, it's behavior modification inside your facility. At its very best, you're obviously providing people opportunities that they probably would never have had if we weren't doing it. And there's a lot in between. One of the things that my jail administrator informed me after several months of using, of doing Ignite inside our facility, that our complaint reports that we would get from Friday to Monday, and that's where a CO has to have some kind of interaction with an inmate, generally negative, but at least something that they have to put on paper. Where it was 25 to 30 over a 3-day period inside of my facility with 100 inmates, it went down to like 3 or 4. And a lot of it was, we'll take Ignite away from you if you don't behave. I hate to say that, but that was the mindset. That's how you get to change that. So again, anecdotal. But I will tell you, and again, I'm going to defer to Major Gould, the Genesee County program, the initiative with Ignite, is being studied by a University of Harvard and a University of Michigan analyst, whatever, however you want to call it. But you're talking two people from very reputable institutions that are doing a 5-year study. Major Gould, if you want to elaborate.
So yeah, thank you. So in Genesee County, we launched Ignite. It was Sheriff Chris Swanson's idea. We launched it September 8th of 2020. We've just marked our 3-year mark. In those 3 years, we've achieved 225,000 contact teaching hours. In our jail, and just like we've described, it's adaptable to each jail. But in our jail, we use 3 different types of educational processes. We have a relationship with our local school district that does GED and high school equivalent training on top of enrichment learning that's all done online. Then our skilled trades element came in because the unions came to us and said, look, we need workers too. How do we teach them to be an electrician or a welder or a pipe fitter. How do we do that? Obviously, you can't bring those materials into a jail, so we do it on virtual reality, and that works really, really well. The third one is our social media presence. When we have a social media presence and we get this message out to all of our community, the community comes back and says, hey, we want workers, we want to be part of this too. How do we do this? So we have people like from tire shops that come in and say, we want to teach people the fundamentals of changing a tire, or doing brakes, or shocks, or struts, or whatever. Or we'll have the financial literacy, the credit unions come in and teach people how important it is to have a good credit score, and how even, what that means to them. A lot of them don't know. It doesn't matter what you're introducing to those people. As law enforcement, we're not experts in education, but we know inmate behavior. We know residents' behavior. And we know that if we can get them to do what we want them to do, thinking it's their idea, that's one of the definitions of leadership. So to speak to the metrics, we do have researchers from Harvard University, Harvard Kennedy School, and Brown University, University of Michigan, that have been on site for about 18 months, and they're doing their study now. And although the results are not able to be released right now, I can tell you it looks good. I can tell you that internally we can say that the reading and math grade has gone up 3.86 and 2.85 respectively overall on standardized tests. I can tell you that the violence in the jail, so in Flint, Michigan, we had in 1 year 350 assaults on another person, whether that was on one of the corrections officers or whether it was on another resident. 350 in 1 year. We were fighting a lot, and that was tough. Ignite started. The very next year, we had 7 for the entire year. So we calculate that to about a 97% reduction in violence, which has affected so many other things. We retain more employees now than ever before. Workman's comp is less. Risk management is happy. It's just affected so many things. It's a completely different jail than it was before Ignite. So of those metrics that we are collecting and all of those different programs that we're running, we're seeing positive effects from all over the place. It is a little early in the game, only 3 years in it, to see true numbers on recidivism. The longer this goes on, the more accurate numbers we'll have with that. But we have the stories that some have been shared here. We've had, and just real quick if I could, we have information of one particular inmate that's sticking in my mind right now that's always complained about how bad he was treated in the jail. And we overheard a conversation between him and his mother on the phone. And he offered this to us, so this is something that we were able to listen to. And he says, I'm learning how to drive an 18-wheeler, a CDL. I'm not getting certified in it, but I'm learning the basic fundamentals of it. And when I get out, and he knew he was going away to prison for 10 years, when I get out, I'm going to start a business. It inspired his family, and specifically his mother, so much that she went out, she became an 18-wheel driver, started the business, and was heard that she was going to turn the business over to him when he got out of prison. This family has the same last name that's been coming to jail generations in the 25 years I've been there. They won't be back in the jail because now they're doing well with their own business. So that's kind of the power of Ignite, and it really is what true culture change looks like.
Truly the last question. Mr. Wendell.
No, it's really not even a question. I'd just like to thank you for exposing this to our sheriff. You know, when the sheriff came to me and said this, I don't really ever question his ideas as an issue. He said, we're going to do it, like, sure, get on board. And Commissioner, I think you said it best. If you listen to the title, we're Commission of Corrections. And are we correcting behavior if we're putting them in there, throwing away, locking them up, throwing away the key? That, I think, is what's unique. I like the fact that we're the first county in New York State, we're the tip of the county, the tip of the spear, if we turn New York State on its side. So I'm really excited that we're going to be the first ones. Really excited about the sheriff and his opportunity. I can tell you this, not because he's here, because we have an audience, but you will not find a man who's more passionate about correcting the behavior. And Sheriff Hilton, you said the best part is it's a mindset. And that's what we have. We know the names in Jamestown and Chautauqua County that are the same people. You mentioned one or two of them, and everyone here will know who they are. But if we can change one of those families, that they're not coming back and correcting that behavior, that's what we're here for. So I can't be any more excited about this, as we move forward. And theoretically, if he's doing his job and this program is successful, the cost will start to diminish in our jail as compared to the cost going up. And that is something that I'm really excited
Thank you. In closing, back in 2010, two of my mentors, Charlie Hodges and Rick Huber, we met, and Rick challenged me. I always said I enjoyed arresting people because usually they needed to be arrested. But I realized we weren't doing anything to help them beyond the arrest. And we were seeing the same people over and over again. We started a day center known as UCAN and then transitioned into a residential. That really has opened my eyes, and part of that is through a fellowship I was able to do with Chuck Colson through Prison Fellowship Ministries. I learned a lot through him, and so a lot of credit to that. But as I look around this room, the support we have in Chautauqua County, I can't help but to look at Dr. Courtwright up there. We kind of started our criminal justice careers together at Jamestown Community College. We both distinctly remember sitting in Professor Hearn's class. I'm not sure how much we learned in that class, but we remember each other, and so I appreciate him being here. And our chaplain is here, Pastor Leinhardt, who I can vent to at different times, usually over a cup of coffee. So I appreciate that. But today I also want to thank the Jackson Center, Kristen, for your assistance. And just, it was a phone, actually it was an email, a quick email, and it was not even a hesitation. It allowed us to be here, and the rich history that goes on here. I know Sheriff Hilton was really enjoying it. But I would like to invite everybody to join us for light refreshments downstairs. And I would be remiss, we have two county legislatures here. I already introduced one from Senator Browell's office, but Lisa Vanstrom, and then Travis Heiser. And the reason I want to bring that up is we've had great support from our county government at the jail, allowing us to properly staff the jail, which allows us to do programs like this. And truly, because of the support we have, we've been able to reduce the amount of forced overtime, the amount of just overtime in general, but I really haven't looked at the amount of sick calls, but no program can run without the staff and the support of the staff. And so without the backing of the county government, we wouldn't be able to be where we are. I think we're pretty close to being fully staffed, which is probably one of the rarities in New York State and probably across the country. So I appreciate that, and that's a testament to our staff who I think now encourage people. When we see applications coming in, it's because of many times our staff encouraging people to apply. And then any of my lack of organization, my lack of good ideas is mine. My good ideas usually come from my father, who instilled a lot of this stuff. A couple of things people mentioned made me think of him. But then my administrative assistant, Reva, who keeps everybody in line. She is the watch guard of my office, and so the organizational comes from her. So, but please join us downstairs, and again, thank you all for joining us.